Okay, this might be my favourite Jessie James bead box in months. In today's episode, I'm challenging myself to see how many projects I can make from the March subscription box, because most of these bead mixes are absolutely gorgeous. And a spoiler alert, I'm using almost all of them. But there's one bead mix in here that just doesn't work, and I cannot stop seeing it. Hello, welcome to The Stylish Maker. My name's Carol. Usually when I do this type of subscription box episode, I show you the highlights of my unboxing with the members in the Style Makers Network, but today I'm not going to show you that because I'm using almost all of the beads. I'm excited to share this with you because I actually only needed a couple of extra bits and pieces to make all of my projects. Now, you know that I love Jessie James beads, and if you're interested in a subscription to their mystery boxes or buying some of their beads, I have a discount code for you. Use Stylish10 and I'll leave you a link in the description box as well. Let's take a look at the beads and what I've got planned for you. We are going to start off with a stretch bracelet made using this wonderful set. I really didn't have to do much with this one because the beads worked perfectly together. This was one of the strands that came in the pack, and as you can see, I've just laid out the beads and it looks wonderful, and we're going to make a stretch bracelet with this. I've also got some charms here and I'm going to make a pair of earrings with those. So couple of quick and easy projects. I'd really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, and give me that thumbs up. That really helps me, and it will also bring more of my content into your feed. You can also subscribe to my newsletter, but if you want even more content, then be sure to check out the Style Makers Network, where we do all kinds of exciting things. The links for both of those things are in the description box. So we'll start off by making this stretch bracelet, and I have here a big eye needle. So a big eye needle is a needle that the hole runs almost the entire length of the needle, so it's super easy to thread. There you go, there's the hole, so you can see what that's all about. Now, normally when I would do a stretch bracelet for myself, I would use one of two products. I would use either this one here, which is called Strong and Stretchy, and it is a 0.6mm wide or fat elastic, and it's super strong, this one, and it works really well and gives you a nice strong bracelet. The other product that I might use is this one here. This is a Miyuki beading elastic, and it is a 0.3 to 0.5mm in diameter, so it is a lot thinner than this one. I have found this one works really well, and it is much stronger than you think it is. It doesn't feel anywhere near as strong as this one here, but it doesn't break. I haven't had much trouble with it breaking anyway. But today I'm not going to be using either one of those. I'm going to be using my hot pink one, simply because you can see this and see what I'm doing. This one is a flat one, and I don't love this elastic. I do use it, but I feel like it shreds a little bit, so it's not my favorite. But we are going to be using it today. So I'm going to take off a little bit, about 50 centimeters or so that I can double it and go. It needs to go around my wrist twice, so that's about the length that I need. Now, the thing with elastic is that you do need to pre-stretch it before you use it. Give it a good pull. Then I'm going to move my hand that's on the end there up to where my fingers are and give it a good pull through my fingers. So I'm giving it a good stretch, and you can do this fairly firmly. And then I'm going to go back the other way, so I've given it two good stretches. Now, the thing with beading elastic is that if you stretch it and it doesn't go back into shape, it's not a great elastic, because you need it to go back into shape every time you take it off and put it back on. But if you pre-stretch it and then you stretch it more and it goes back into shape, that works. I hope that makes sense. So I've pre-stretched my elastic, and I'm going to pop on my bead stopper here. So it's like a spring, and you put your elastic through it and it just holds everything and it stops your beads falling off. Any tools or materials that I use today that aren't included in the box, I will leave you links to everything if I can find them. Now, I put the two cut ends into my bead stopper, and I'm going to put the looped end into my needle here. Okay, so I'm not putting the needle inside the loop, I'm putting the loop inside the needle. And what I'm going to do is string on my beads. So I'm going to turn my beadboard on its side here. Before I do that though, I just have to talk about this beautiful bead. Isn't this fabulous? This came in 3 colours, 1, 2, 3, yes, 3 colours in this bead box, and it just reminds me of the swimming caps, you know, from the 60s, and my mum had one and it had sunflowers all over it, and this just reminds me of that so much. So I think this one might be dedicated to my mum. There's also these beautiful beads, and these ones have a built-in bead cap and they have gold accents, so they're really lovely as well. Actually, I've just noticed something. I have got some little spacer beads in here, but I haven't got them on the other side, so I'll grab them there and there. That's better. With a stretch bracelet, it's a little different from designing a necklace, and I'll tell you why. I'll just turn this back for a minute. So when you have a stretch bracelet, what you do is it's continuous. So this bead here is next to this bead here. So you'll note that I have 2 red beads together, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use both of those red beads. I put them there because I thought it might be too short, but it would be better if I didn't use one of these red beads. So I'm going to just pop it up there, and I'm not going to put it on until I've finished, so I can decide. Actually, we'll do it the other way. We'll do that. So I can decide if it's going to be too short without it. It's not a big deal to have 2 beads together, 2 of the same beads together at the back or underside of your bracelet anyway. I will string these beads, and then I will show you how I do my ultimate knot that doesn't come undone. So we're just going to pop our needle on through those beads and start stringing. And so when you use your big eye needle, sometimes it can be quite hard to get over that with the 4 strands of elastic. If that happens, there is another way that you can do this. You could use a piece of tiger tail, fold it in half and put it through the loop, but we're not going to do that today because these beads go on okay. A little hint when you're using your big eye needle is that the elastic will want to go all the way down into the point of the needle, and it's a good idea when you pull your beads on and it's right down in the point just to pull it back a little bit, and so that when you pull your beads down you hold that part of the elastic. It saves putting all the pressure on this part of the needle because these needles break quite easily. So just hold it like that when you pull your beads down. All right, I have all my beads on bar that one red one, and I'm going to try it on and see how it fits me first before I decide whether or not I should add that extra bead. Now I'm going to take off my needle, and as you can see it's caught in the end there, so just pushing it back to bring it off. And then I'm going to take my other end and I'm going to thread it through that loop. So see, I've got the loop here of my elastic. And I want to bring everything up, just pulling everything up so that all of the beads go up to that loop. The loop is still here and my elastic is coming through the loop. Now this gives me an ideal opportunity to try the bracelet on, and that is the perfect size for me. So I have a 16.5 centimeter wrist, and so making my bracelet 17.5 or 18 centimeters works really well. And if you're using a large bead like this, it does take up a little bit of space, so that's something to think about for you. If I'd used all small beads, I could have got away with a smaller bracelet, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Now I'm going to tie my knot, and I do this a little differently from most people, but I have tested this knot over many, many years, and this is the one that doesn't come undone. So I have my ends here going through my loop, and I want to give it a good pull, make sure it's nice and tight, not too hard. And then I'm going to split my ends. So I've got one end on this side and one end on this side. I've got one in my right and one in my left hand. I want to take my right hand and I want to put it through the center of my bracelet. Okay. And so now my right hand one is out on the left hand side as well. Then I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to put it through the center of my bracelet so that it is now on my right hand side. And if I pull those, I can make sure where they cross is in between the same two beads where my loop is. And now I'm going to tie a knot. Now I'm going to take my right hand one and I'm going to put it through my bracelet and pull it out on the left hand side. So now both my strands are on the left hand side. Now I'm going to take my left hand one and pull it through and bring it out on the right hand side. And whoops. Just make sure they're sitting in the right place, and I'm going to give it a pull and I'm going to tie a knot. And I am going to do that one more time. So taking my right hand one, putting it through the center of the bracelet and pulling it out. And then I'm going to take my left hand one and put it through the center of the bracelet and pull it out. Now I'm going to tie 2 knots. That's what my knot looks like now. And you can see that by crossing the elastic in through the center of the bracelet and bringing it out, what it does is it creates a knot that kind of lies down along the length of your elastic. This is good because it allows you to have a bigger knot and it will still go through the holes of your beads. Or it should, unless you're using really small hole beads. Now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut off my ends, and then I'm going to work that knot into one of the holes here. And then you go, my knot has disappeared. So that's my first piece, and it's a pretty cool looking bracelet. I do love it. I would not normally use a large bead like this on a bracelet or on a stretch bracelet without balancing it at the back, but I do really like this. Now obviously you can see a little bit of the pink elastic here, so I will be needing to restring this with a clear elastic later on, but at least you got to see what I was doing. So that is project number 1. So for project number 2, we are going to be making a pair of earrings using some of the charms that came in the box. So I've got my pine tree charms and I've got a pair of ear wires. Now this one, it couldn't be easier. So we're going to take our ear wire and we're going to find the side of the loop that opens. So on this one, unusually it's this side. Normally with ear wires, it's always the inside. I'm going to hold my ear wire. Now normally I would hold it like this with my thumb and my forefinger really supporting it. And I want to hold the loop on the side like this. I want my pliers going up the loop, not like this, because if you hold it like this, you can bend it out of shape and we don't want to do that. So I'm holding it like that. I'm going to hold it up here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to twist my hand down, and what that does is it opens the ear wire. Now I want to make sure that my charm goes on the right way. This is the front of your ear wire, so you want your charm going on so it faces that way. So it couldn't be easier. I'm going to hold it on that side there again, and this time I'm going to push my hand up, pushing the pliers down to close that loop. And let's do that again. So just holding it on the side there and pushing my hand down, putting the charm on the right way. Now these little balls can fall down into the loop, so if that happens, just push it up out of the way and hold it with your thumbnail, and then I'm going to come back up and close that loop. So there is project number 2, a pair of palm tree earrings. Now I will try them on at the end, so make sure you stay till the end. I'm also going to talk to you about that bead box or the container that didn't work as well. Okay, now let's talk about the next one we're going to make. I actually have already made this one. I made a stretch bracelet and I didn't think you needed to see this again because this was literally just stringing these beads that were already in this order onto a piece of elastic. But I am going to show you how to add a charm after the fact to a stretch bracelet. Normally you would just string it when you string on all the beads, but today I'm going to show you a different way, just in case you decide to put a charm on a bracelet after you've strung it. I have my charm here, a little seashell charm and a jump ring. Now I thought that this actually would make a great anklet, because with summer coming in the northern hemisphere, I thought that would make a really cool anklet for someone. So a little charm on the side of the ankle always look really cool, right? I am going to take my 2 pairs of chain nose pliers, and I have a 6mm jump ring here, and I'm going to open it. If you have a look look at the jump ring, it is a circle of wire and it has a little split at the top here. So you want to hold it on the side like that with the split at the top facing away from you. Then grab your other pair of pliers and hold it on the other side, and then we're just going to move our hand down like we did with the ear wire, and we are going to put on our charm, and then we're going to take our bracelet and decide where we would like our little charm, and I'm going to stretch it out, hook my jump ring around the elastic, and I'm going to close up my jump ring. And you want to make sure this jump ring is really well closed, because if it isn't, the elastic will come out. So there we go. There's project number 3, another stretch bracelet or an anklet, whichever one you would like it to be. That was project number 3, and now we're on to project number 4. We're making a necklace. And once again, we have one of these amazing beads with these sunflowers on. Just looks like a swimming cap to me. I love it. And I've laid out my beads here. Now I am going to be using a piece of chain as well, and I'm going to be using one of these clasps that came in the box. I just laid them out how I felt they worked. We've got some salmon pink and some yellow and some green and some orange, beautiful colors that work together. I've also got a couple of crimp beads here. I've got some 10mm jump rings and some 6mm jump rings, and I've got the chain that came in the box, and I'm going to be using some of this extreme flex in the color champagne, and this is a soft flex product and it's a medium beading wire. The reason I'm using this is because you're actually going to be able to see where the wire comes up and loops around, so that is why I decided to use this one. So the first thing we're going to do is crimp the end of our wire. So I'm just going to move my bead board out of the way for a minute. And we are going to take my cord tidy off, and I've got a couple of ends here. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so I think this piece, yes, this piece that I've got cut off will be long enough. So just wind that back on and put on my tidy. Everything nice and neat for next time. So I'm going to take one of my crimp tubes. Now I am going to be using my magical crimper today, but you can crimp this in any way that you like. If you're using a regular crimp, you may want to cover it with a crimp cover. Before I do my crimp, I want to put the chain onto the jump ring and make sure that my jump ring is really well closed, because I'm going to be looping my beading wire through my jump ring. So taking my chain here, and now I haven't cut my chain. I'm assuming it's going to be long enough for what I need. I need to put one of my jump rings onto each end of my chain. So I'm taking my jump ring on either side here and opening it, and then I'm going to feed on the end of my chain, and I'm going to close it. Now my jump ring isn't quite closed properly, so I'm going to hold it on either side, wiggle backwards and forwards, and push my right hand towards my left. Do the same thing for the other side. So now you can see I have a jump ring on either end of my chain. Now just looking at my chain, I will need to get rid of this link, because that will make it one side one link longer than the other. So I'm not going to do that now though. We'll do it in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to take my crimp tube and I am going to put it onto my wire there. Then I'm going to go through my jump ring, and I'm going to go back through my crimp tube. Now you're probably saying to yourself, why did she do that? Why didn't she just put the beading wire over or through the link of the chain? And the reason for that is simply because if you want to change anything about it, maybe you want to change the chain later on or something like that, you can do it without having to completely restring your necklace, because all you do is undo the jump ring and you change it and do it back up again. I've got my crimp tube on there. I'm using my magical crimper, so I'm going to pop it in there and squeeze. And I'm going to turn and squeeze some more, and I'm going to keep doing that until I get my crimp looking nice. If you haven't used the magical crimper before, I do have a video all about it. There we go. That's what that looks like. Now just test your crimp and make sure that it's holding nice and firmly. And now we are going to start stringing. But before we do that, we do need to deal with the tail, and I'll show you that in just a sec. So I've got my beads here, and I'm going to start off by stringing on a couple of my beads. The ocean is gray, sky is a vague blue, come my way. My room
It could use a hand. My favorite TV shows are capturing. I know must get it right.
If I run these beads up, my tail is going to stick out like that. So what I want to do is put my tail through some of my beads. And this bead here is a good place to hide my tail because it's a large bead. If I put that through there, you see my tail is still sticking out the end. So what I'm going to do is pull back, and I'm going to cut this piece of wire about half the length of this bead so that when everything pulls up, it will hide inside that bead. So I'm going to cut it about there. And now if I run those beads up, I can pop that tail in there, and my tail is hidden inside that bead. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and string these beads on. As you can see, I use the same sort of philosophy here. I use my big bead in the center. I've got a couple of different beads on either side, and then I've got another 2 accent beads. And then I just went up. Now I did make sure that my heart beads are both facing down, so the point is facing down on both of them. Okay, I'll string these up.
This can't be a surprise. I think I let it slide. I'm sleepwalking through all of my problems. I know I can make it through. Every night is the same. I keep running.
Okay, I have my beads strung on, and before I go ahead and put my crimp and everything on, I want to check that my beads are all in the right order. So to do that, I'm holding the 2 ends together, and I'm holding my focal bead, and I'm just checking that my beads are all correct and that they're facing the same way, because these beads here are teardrop beads and so are these ones, and I've got my hearts, so I want to make sure everything's facing the right way and everything's in the right order, which it is. I'm going to put on my crimp tube, and I'm going to put on the jump ring off the other end of the chain. Then I'm coming back down through my crimp tube. Now, if you need help with crimping, I've got a video on 3 different ways to crimp, so I will leave that one linked in the description box below. Okay, so this time I'm pulling everything down, and if you get stuck, you can see I've got a gap there and I can't pull anymore. Just move your crimp tube down and you should be able to pull everything back up. So this time I've got my tail coming out the bottom of my heart, the same as before. And what will happen is if I trim that really close, gravity will just pop it inside that bead. So now I'm going to take my pliers and crimp, or my magical crimper, and crimp this. And I'm going to cut off my tail. So there we go, there's both ends of our necklace attached, and that's what it looks like. Now we have to deal with the other end and add the clasp. Now it does look like these links actually have a split in them, so I can open that. If not, I would have to cut it. So let's see if we can do that. So we're going to treat it just like a jump ring and try and open it. Now I'm not worried about destroying it this time because it's really tough. And I'm not going to need it for anything else. No, I think it's soldered, so I might have to cut it. Make sure you cover things that you cut like this. You don't want it to lie away anywhere. Now we'll see if we can open it. Oh, it is tough. There we go. So that's the piece I took off, and now both my ends are equal, I hope. Yay, I cut the right one. So what I'm going to do next is add my clasp. This is quite a cool clasp. It's a push-in clasp like that, so it opens that way. And so it's nice and big, but I couldn't use a 6mm jump ring here because I could not fit it around the clasp and through the link of the chain as well. So I decided to use a 10mm. So I'm going to open my jump ring and put on my clasp. And then I'm going to put on the end of my chain. Then close my jump ring. So that's my clasp added. And obviously I'm not adding a clasp to the other side, although I could. That would be quite cool actually. What would that look like? What if we added another clasp? That could look quite cool, couldn't it? Let's do that. Should I use this one or this one? I think I'm going to use the bigger one, but let me know in the comments if you would have preferred me to use the small one, or if you think I'm crazy adding 2 clasps. So just opening up my jump ring and feeding on my chain and my clasp, and closing my jump ring up. Now, as someone with short hair, because people see me from the back, right? So, well, people see everyone from the back, but you know what I mean. So I like to make sure that the backs look as good as the fronts. So this might be quite cool. To do that up, pop it in like that. What do you think? Okay, so there's my necklace, and I'm going to try it on at the end. Now, there could be another reason that I did that. We'll see when we get there. Okay, so that was project number 4. Now we're going to make another stretch bracelet. We're going to make a pair of earrings, and I'm going to show you one I've already made, because once again, it's the same technique. This is a stretch bracelet that I already made, and I laid it out like this. I started here with this bead here, and then I added 2 of the faceted ones and the salmon. And you can see the pattern is the same, but I also ended with one of those. So it's actually, if we look at it like this, it's the same that way. So that one is just a simple stretch bracelet I made using the same technique I already showed you. So what's that? Project number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, project number 5. Wow. We're on fire. The next project is another really simple pair of earrings. So these beads were in the box, and they have a little loop on the top, so we're just going to add an ear wire. Now, I could have added beads to this. I did think about that, but I decided not to. They are such pretty beads, and so I thought we'll let them stand alone. I am going to open my ear wire, and this time I do know that it's the inside that opens. Opening my ear wire, popping on the charm, and closing that up. There's my earring, and I'm going to do the same thing again. This is a black 15mm ear wire, so it's a little bit smaller than the other one. So there is my set of earrings. So that's project number 6. Now project number 7 is another stretch bracelet, and you may be thinking, goodness Carol, how many stretch bracelets can you have? You can never have enough. This one will probably be a gift for someone because it's not really in my colors, but I really like what I decided to do with this, so I thought I'd show you step by step how I did this one. So you may be thinking, why have I got my beadboard upside down? There's a good reason, because I threaded these center beads onto a really long big eye needle so that I could see what I was doing. Because sometimes when you lay things out on a beadboard, they fall over, they don't sit upright. So for example, if I was adding these to here, you can see that they want to fall over. They don't want to stand upright like this. So I just threaded everything on a really long needle so I could see what I was doing. I took these 2 beads here because I really liked these 2 beads, and initially I had them pushed together, but they didn't look right. They looked too busy. So instead I decided to take 3 of these little snowflakes, and I put them together. I stacked them one on top of each other like that, and it created its own type of bead. I really liked that. So what I've got is 3 here, 2 here, so 3 on in the center, 2 on either side of those beautiful beads, and then another 1. And the reason I put them like that was to kind of step that out. I could have not put them here or there, but I felt like it needed that to bring that design out. And I do that a lot actually. That's why I use the big focal bead, and then I step down the size of the beads as well. The only things that I used here that weren't in the pack, I've got my little pieces of tape here so that I remembered, was these beads, these little yellow ones and these lemon clear ones here. And the reason I used those was simply because I just didn't have enough beads to make this work. I could have added some white ones, but it didn't look right. And of course these green ones are just too big. They just didn't work anywhere else. And so for this project, for this bead box, I'm not using those. I'm not using the green ones or the white ones, but I will use them later on. Now I have already got my beads strung up, so I don't really want to unstring them and put them back on. So let's see if we can open this big eye needle, see if we can get them on. We'll see. So I'm going to take some of my elastic again and just give it cut a piece off and give it a good stretch. So folding it in half and giving it a good stretch. Once again, pre-stretching, it is the key, because if you don't pre-stretch, your elastic bracelet will stretch out as you wear it, and it will become too big and there will be gaps between the beads. And I have done this in the past. Now we're going to put our bead stopper on. Remember, we're putting both cut ends into our bead stopper like that, which leaves us a loop on this end. And we are going to thread this loop through our needle. Now, because I want to try and not unstring this, I'm going to do some little tricky things. I've got another bead stopper here, and I'm going to use that to hold the beads on this end of the needle while I put the beads on. Here's my beads that are on the needle. Just push them up to the other end. I'm going to stick this bead stopper on there, hopefully. Right, now my beads won't fall off. Now we're going to take the loop of our elastic and we're going to put it through this big eye needle. So I need to open it, put my finger through it and put the loop through there. Now remember, you want the loop of your elastic through the needle, not the needle through the loop. If you put the needle inside the loop, you won't be able to get it off. Now I'm just going to feed all these beads down onto my elastic. That saved me an immense amount of time. We're going to go ahead and thread on these beads. Now I've got to the end of my beads. Remember that your bracelet is a circle, so we can just circle around and keep threading. I really like that long needle actually. I've not used one that long before, but I really liked it. I got sent that pack of long big eye needles and I'm sold. So I've got my beads all on there and we're going to test it for size first. So I'm putting my cut ends through the loop of my elastic and I'm just going to pull everything up. So I do that by holding the last bead. And then sometimes you need to hold the first bead as well. So now I want to test it. It is a little large for me, but I am planning to give this away. So most people don't have as smaller wrists as I do. So I'm going to leave it the size that it is. If I didn't want to leave it that size, I could remove a couple of these beads and that would be fine. So we're going to tie our knot. So we're splitting our ends and we're taking our right hand through the center of the bracelet and pulling it out on the left. Then we're going to take the left hand one through the center and pull it out on the right. Okay, we're going to tie a knot just like last time. Now I wanted to show you this. You can see this elastic here is already shredding, and this is why I do not use this elastic. It's not good quality. Okay, so we're taking our right hand one, we're putting it through the loop of the elastic, or through the center of the bracelet. Then we're going to take our left hand one and put it through the center of the bracelet as well. And I'm going to tie my knot. And of course I want to make sure that my knot goes down back into that same spot. So if you can see there, it's wanting to loop around. So we want to make sure that it's going back in that same spot. And we're going to do it one more time, right through to left and left through to right. And we're going to tie 2 knots this time. So that's 1 and that's 2. So there's my knot. Cut off our ends. So there we go, there's that bracelet. The knot is here and you can see it a little bit, but I'm not worried about that because I am going to restring it. Because I'm giving it to someone else, I'm going to restring it with a sturdier elastic, but you get the idea. So that's project number 7, and we're going to make another pair of earrings as project number 8. And we're doing exactly the same things because honestly, they just lend themselves to earrings. So we're going to do it exactly the same way. So opening my ear wire, feeding that on and closing up. And just repeat. And you can see how quickly you can make a pair of earrings. Oh, this one does not want to come undone. Let's have a look. I think it's stuck in the bottom of the bead there. There we go. So there we go, that was project number 8 and literally a pair of 2-minute earrings. Now here's my last lot of beads, and as I was laying these out, I decided that this just didn't work, and so I've decided to do a whole video dedicated to this and why it didn't work, because there's a lot to unpack in this. In this episode here, I am going to be talking about why this didn't work and how to make it work. So let's try on these pieces and see what you think. By the way, before I forget, if you want to make the necklace I'm wearing today, this is called my Summer Forever necklace, and I'll leave you that one linked below. And the earrings are my turquoise earrings, and I think I did these in a compilation video with like 5 other pairs of earrings, so I'll leave you that one linked in the description box below as well. Okay, I wore the wrong jacket to wear with this necklace. It looks hideous. That is the necklace, the first necklace that I made, the only necklace that I actually made today. Now, you could make this shorter or longer depending on your preference. I actually quite like it at this length because it does showcase the chain, which is quite nice, but you could shorten it quite easily by just cutting off a few links of the chain. I actually really like this clasp too. Here's my little pair with the black ear wires. Super cute and quite small, but they are very sparkly. Next, we have our palm tree earrings. I don't know about you, but I feel like these were more Christmassy. Just with the colors, I think. So there we go, that's our palm tree earring. And finally, there's our little stone earring, our little gemstone. That one is quite cool. Now, you could have used these as a charm on a necklace or a bracelet or anything. I just really liked them as earrings themselves. They kind of, just to me, spoke of earrings. Now let's try on our bracelets. So there is the orange one with the gold, and as I said, that's too big for me. It's a little bit wiggly woggly, but I do really love the way it turned out, and I have someone in mind that I'm going to give that one to. This is the one that I said would work really well as an anklet. It is the perfect size for me. Now that one, all I did was string up the beads in the order that they came in, so it was nice and easy. Here's the apricot one, which is just lovely, and it works so well with this bracelet. In fact, if I had more of these beads, I would make this into a memory wire bracelet with this on either side of that. That would be amazing. So there is a possibility that I might actually go and buy some more of these beads and make that up. Let me know in the comments which of the 8 projects I made today is your favorite. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.